Fall camp intel is rolling right along with fall camp, and we have a couple of schools that I think deserve a closer look when it comes to the buzz that's going on around them. And Texas is a school that will have buzz every single year. I mean, they're last year in the Big 12. They're moving to the SEC. But y'all that know college football, if you watch the show, you know college football. Y'all that get it, this logo in Austin, Texas, it's got some weight to it. It's got a lot of juice with it as well, and a lot of excitement around it. But there is some pressure that comes with wearing that burnt orange. And right now, they're in a unique position going into year 3 in the Steve Sarkisian era, to where there's a little bit higher expectations than there have been in the last couple of seasons in Austin. And what we're hearing out of fall camp is Quinn Ewers. If you've been on social media at all, you saw, hey, my guy chopped the mold off. He's all business. And I don't know if there's a correlation from chopping the mullet to being a better leader or what have you, but it sounds like he's really stepping into that leadership role. You would imagine some of that is having been named the starter already, which, last year he's going back and forth and you're not sure if he's going to be the guy. Eventually he ends up being your guy. He ends up being your starting quarterback. And I think that probably has lent itself to a stronger just confidence within himself to be able to lead. So we're kind of speculating there, but the buzz out of fall camp is he's become a better and more established leader within that team. Jalen Catalon is a transfer defensive back from Arkansas to Texas, and they love what he's done to that secondary. They said he's kind of been, a little bit of a revelation of sorts. Like, he's a guy that if he's on your team, you love him. If you got to play against him, you hate him. I heard a story from practice where they're doing a special teams drill, and you're blocking on punt, and you're not full go. Okay, so I'll recap it. I'll back up a little bit. In this drill, you are trying to block the gunner from going down and tackling your punt returner. That is the drill they are working. Jalen Catalon is playing corner against the gunner. Not full go, not full contact, and Jalen Catalon gets beat. So whoever it was beat him with speed on the outside, kind of gets ahead of him, and Jalen Catalon runs up, gives him a little hip check. And I don't think it was dirty. It sounds like he didn't mean to do it on purpose. It's kind of that gray area. But it sounds like the coaching staff really appreciated that in a way. Like, I don't know if they're encouraging that, but there's a little bit of an edge to Jalen Catalon. And I think that's going to serve Texas well defensively if that kind of spreads across the team. Anthony Hill is a freshman edge defender for them. Don't know that he's going to start for them. I don't think that's probably where he sits right now, but the consensus out of fall camp is he is the most natural pass rusher they have on that roster. As a true freshman, that's saying something. Notice what I did not say. I did not say he's the best pass rusher. I did not say he's going to be a game wrecker, but just based on his physical gifts and his tools that he has most naturally, they love what he brings to the table. Don't be surprised if he ends up getting a package at edge or playing outside linebacker. Like, I think he finds his way on the field somehow, some way. Don't know that it's in that starting 11, but dude has a ton of ability. He was a big get for them. They flipped him from Texas A&M to eventually get to Austin, and they're very glad to have him on campus. Now, anytime you talk to somebody close to Texas right now, they will just rave about that wide receiver room. I had somebody tell me they believe that they have 4 NFL wide receivers on that team right now. Jordan Whittington, A.D. Mitchell, Isaiah Nayor, if he's healthy, is going to be a dude for them. Xavier Worthy, his name speaks for itself. They have so much ability in this room. I was told this is the best wide receiving core they've had in 25 years. Now, I didn't say they had a wide receiver there that was better than Roy Williams or anything like that, but just from the depth and the pure talent they have across the board, they got some dudes that are going to make Quinn Ewers' job a lot easier if he can get the ball to them in space. Also, Jonte Cook, a name that keeps coming up. During spring camp, it kept coming up. We saw him catch a touchdown in the spring game. He's a big-time player from DeSoto. He's a local kid. They love what he brings to the table. Expect him to have a role in some way, shape, or form this year as well. So this is the most depth from people talking, close to people in Austin. They've said this is the most depth that Texas has had in the last decade. Texas has always been talented. They've always had a lot of pieces, but this is the most depth they've had in the last decade. And throughout the course of a season, from August all the way to November, y'all already know this, it is very difficult to go wire to wire with the same starting 11 on both sides of the football. And what I was told, short of losing Jalen Ford at linebacker, because he's kind of the heart and soul of that defense, they feel like they have a lot of answers for that second unit to step in and be a factor and not have a tremendous drop-off. I mean, that says a lot about Texas. It says a lot about where they sit right now. Texas feels really good. If you haven't yet already got a membership to Inside Texas, would encourage you to do that. I mean, Bobby Burton is on top of this like nobody else, as well as the rest of the team there. So get a membership at Inside Texas, stay up with everything there. And they feel good on the 40 acres right now. They're expecting a special season. Hard to blame them going into year 3 under Steve Sarkisian. Really quickly, make sure you're subscribed to this channel because we talk college football and only college football on this show, The Hard Count. Appreciate you in advance for doing that. We're surging towards 100,000 subscribers. Would love to have you a part of this. So thank you in advance for doing that. Also, if you could like the video while you're here, a little thumbs up button under the picture, that would be extremely helpful. So thank you so much. All right, let's move right on now to another team that has aspirations to do some things in the postseason. That's the Clemson Tigers. Clemson, South Carolina is a fascinating spot right now because they won the ACC last year. They've won the ACC actually 7 of the last 8 years, but a lot of people see Clemson as having taken a step back. And they're not all the way wrong because Clemson, I mean, for a minute there, they rolled off like 5 or 6 college football playoff appearances in a row until 2020, and they've kind of tapered off just a little bit. But last year, you had a defense that was extremely solid. I mean, 75% of that production is back. The defense, I think, has one of the best linebacking combos in the country in Barrett Carter and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Got Xavier Thomas back. Like, they feel good about that defense. The buzz, though, out of fall camp is around this new offensive scheme. Garrett Riley, remember, new OC, came from TCU to Clemson, South Carolina to kind of revitalize that whole offense. Also a new quarterback. You had DJ Uiagalelei, and now you got Cade Klubnik, 5-star kid out of Austin, Texas. They feel good about him. I would say if we're watching from the outside looking in, let's give him some time to really get into this system and have some time as a starting quarterback. But a good thing for the people in Clemson, South Carolina, all the reports around Cade Klubnik is that he is the unquestioned leader. And that is difficult to do before even, being the guy for game 1. I understand he was the starter at the end of last year, but he's now had a full offseason as stepping up and not being just the quarterback, but also being the guy. And we understand there's a difference there. Being the quarterback, you're listed as QB1 on the roster. You're in charge for, calling the play in the huddle, getting everyone lined up. But being the guy, to be the guy means you're the leader. It means everybody responds to how you react to situations. It means when a bad play happens, you look to the quarterback, you look to the guy. Hey, how are we going to respond to this? We feel good? Hey, he seems composed. I'm good with it. So, the report is from seniors all the way down to freshmen, they all understand Cade Klubnik is the leader of that football team. That is a very, very good sign for people in Clemson right now. But the offense, man, has had a ton of excitement around it. And that's not just people that cover Clemson saying that. That's people that play defense for Clemson. Barrett Carter, I believe, at ACC Media Days said, yeah, we kind of think we have figured out what they're doing one practice. And the next practice, they throw in a different motion. They throw a wrinkle off of a play that we thought we had down. And, it just keeps us on our toes. And that is music to your ears if you're a Clemson fan, because last year the offense, it felt very one-dimensional. We'll talk about Clemson a little bit later in this show, but you kind of felt like they didn't have that explosive element to the pass game. But Garrett Riley now, the report out of fall camp so far is he's going to do a much better job of scheming guys open. It's not going to be 50-50 ball to our 6'5+ tight end. Not going to be, jump ball on the outside. Let's hope he comes down with it. Quarterback, give him a good ball. I'm sure that element will still be involved and you'll have that. But for the most part, Clemson wants to be a team where we're going fast, we're running the football. And when you think you have our play figured out and you want to cheat up a little bit, that's when you're wrong. That's when we have a big play downfield, strike up the band. That's how they feel at Clemson right now with what they're building offensively. So morale is very, very high. Clemson won the ACC last year. They only threw for 6.8 yards a pass. It's not good. It's good for 86th in the country. Garrett Riley at TCU was top 20 with his offense in terms of yards per pass. They were right around 8 yards a pass. So doesn't sound like a big difference. I assure you, in terms of explosive plays, they're going to be much better, and that is a big difference for Clemson going forward. They feel good about what they have in that wide receiver room, too. Some guys that were dinged up last year that didn't really get to totally open up and make their impact felt. Bo Collins being one of those guys, Adam Randall being one of those guys. Both names to watch, especially Adam Randall with his natural speed and his size. He's going to be a guy that I think has a tremendous impact on that offensive game plan when it comes to the deep shots. Last thing I want to talk about here, the buzz out of Ann Arbor, Michigan. It's kind of like Fort Knox. Fortunately, we have great people that work for On3. The Wolverine, get a membership there. If you haven't, they're going to keep you as in the know as anybody else in the industry, actually more than anybody else in the industry. So we got to talk to them a little bit, and they have people that are dialed into that building. And they are saying that when it comes to fall camp right now, there is a confidence about themselves. And you would expect that from Michigan. I mean, they won the Big Ten the last 2 years, and they beat Ohio State the last 2 years, been to the college football playoff the last 2 years, but it is very much so the eye on the ball kind of mentality for them right now. They don't just want to win the Big Ten. They don't want to just get back to the college football playoff. Like, they want to get back and do some real damage. So for Michigan, that's the mission right now. It's no secret. It sounds like the offense is a touch more balanced. It's no secret. Last year, it was give the ball to Blake Corum, give the ball to Donovan Edwards, and we're going to be just fine running power at you and running for over 200 yards a game. And it's hard to blame Jim Harbaugh, hard to blame anybody on that staff. Can't blame J.J. McCarthy. Like, that was the way they got down, and they did it really, really effectively behind that big offensive line. But if this trend and this buzz around them being just a touch more vertical in the pass game, being a touch more explosive and letting J.J. McCarthy cook a little bit more, if that buzz comes to fruition on the football field, like, I don't know how you line up with Michigan. Because when they can run the ball for 200 yards a game, and then J.J. McCarthy takes that next step and throws the ball vertical to a Colston Loveland, who's a matchup nightmare. I mean, Cornelius Johnson, we saw what he could do against Ohio State. Like, they've got a lot of weapons, and it sounds like with the tendency or the trend of them starting to open it up more, that gives me confidence about J.J. McCarthy and his maturation, but it also, I think, speaks volumes to what they think of those weapons in that room, to what they think about a Colston Loveland at tight end. So keep an eye on that. I think that's important to mention. Also, Josh Wallace, the transfer from Massachusetts, or UMass, as they're known in the college football world, the Minutemen. He's had a really strong summer. They're really excited about what he could bring to the table in that secondary. Again, this defense, they bring a lot of people back, but even so, they think that he could be a guy that helps them this coming season. So good reports all around right now in the fall camp situation from Texas, Clemson, Michigan, all three teams that you expect to push for some kind of hardware in their respective conferences. And Michigan has got aspirations. Well, all these teams actually have aspirations to make some noise in the college football playoff. But I speak about Michigan because they're looking to finally get over the hump in the college football playoff and get themselves a natty. So that's what's going on in fall camp. But I promise you, we will keep you in the know, and we will keep you locked in, and so will those tremendous fan sites that are a part of what we do here at On3. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.